What's up, boys? I'm gonna do a quick video just to make some corrections on how do you throw a straight punch without busting your elbows. You see a lot of people do like boxing, karate, anytime you have a jab or a straight right, reverse punch, there's always a risk of hurting the elbow. So I want to go over how do you throw these punches without busting yourself up, okay? First thing you have to understand is that the tendons in the hand, the origin of the tendons in the hand are actually at the elbow. So when you do a punch and you're snapping, you need to make sure to keep the elbow solid and stabilized, that you create tension in the fist, okay? I'll show you guys hollow fist in a second and the whole other thing. But when you're just dealing with basic karate punch, the first thing you learn is to squeeze, right? The reason for that is to create the stabilizing tension in the origin of muscles here, okay? So most of the time, basic anatomy, the origins of muscles start from your spine, close to your medial bone of the spine, and then the insertions are where they connect to the joints, okay? So in this case, in this part of the limb, closest to your spine is the elbow joint, and they insert to the hand, okay? It's very basic. So what tends to happen is if you're snapping this weight, just say your hand weighs 5 pounds, but it's moving at between 50 and 120 miles an hour, it's going to create a lot of force and a lot of shearing force, especially when the elbow is trying to do this countering lateral move, right? So the first thing you want to make sure is that your fist is extremely tight. This is not so much to make the punch harder, but the idea is to get it from snapping. This is for basic karate, right? The next thing you want to do is make sure that you never straighten and hyperextend the elbow. So beginners, even a lot of experienced people don't know this, but when you throw the punch, you want to stop just before full extension, okay? And train yourself to stop here, because you don't need to be locked out to create that close kinetic chain, what we call it, okay? So the idea is that I want to create a post. I just need to be aligned, okay? And you'll get that frame. You do not need to extend it all the way. You want it to have a little bit of give. It shouldn't even be noticeable from the outside. It's very, very subtle. Very subtle, okay? So here's locked. Here's where I want to be. I don't want to do this, okay? You're going to hyperextend your elbow. Now, that's why I said the fist being tight first, okay? Because the fist is really tight, it's really hard to get that full extension because the origin's so tense, it's really difficult to get that hyperextension, okay? But even still, you do want to give yourself a little bit of leeway by giving it a little bit of space, not to lock the joint out. It should look straight, but it's not locked. I cannot stress this enough, okay? So those two things are really, really important, especially when you're really throwing fast. Now what tends to happen, people get lazy in the shadow boxing, find the hands are loose and doing that stuff, and then they keep that motor memory and they start snapping, and then they start to hyperextend. So either you get pain inside the joints, all kinds of weird tendinitis, tendinosis, all the little weird stuff that happen. So you can avoid that by those two things, okay? Now, when you're dealing with wearing gloves, I busted out my gloves. I haven't had a glove up in 3 years. But if you wear fingerless MMA gloves, right? Problem here is that you can close the hand, right? It's just you really gotta break your glove and get that fist closed. But what do you do when you're dealing with boxing gloves? Okay? Now remember that glove does have mass to it, so it's adding load to your hand. Okay? So you've got to remember this. It's not just your hand now. Now you have a weight moving at X amount of speed. So that's also going to cause you problems. When you're putting on a boxing glove, of course I pulled out, well, yeah, it's actually you pull the glove because you're jobbing. All right? God, these gloves haven't been worn since I left New York. The problem with the boxing glove is it's extremely difficult to make a proper fist, which is why we tape the thumb up. Okay? Another issue, reason why I'm bringing that up is because the real way to make a fist, okay? I don't care what anybody tells you, this is the correct way to make a fist. You never take the thumb and put it past the first finger, okay? There's this guy, what was his name? Oh, the dude that invented the Bosu ball, I think. And he has this little scheme he's going on with this core fist bullshit, where he puts his thumb in, he wraps around, he's like, see, you can't bend my wrist, and then he makes the guy do a fist, and says, you see, you can bend your wrist. The reason for this is because when you take your thumb and place it past the first finger, you now displace the tendon that's running on the medial border of the hand, whatever you don't know, okay? So you never, ever, ever take this thumb and put it past the first finger. You can test this with your friends. Make a fist, put the thumb on top of the hand, and have them try to bend your wrist. Or you could do it to yourself. Take the fist, put the thumb on top of the first finger. Do the same thing. As soon as you cross this line, this tendon deactivates and you lose stability in the hand. This is very, very important, small detail, okay? So a lot of Chinese martial arts will do this, okay? This is the correct fist for classical karate. You do not cross that line. It's a very fine detail, okay? This is very, very important. Now we're going to, like, for instance, teaching the Tai Chi boxing and the hollow fist methods. One of the ways that, when I teach form to advanced students, I teach them several methods to play the same form. And one of the methods I teach is where the elbows do not move at all. So when you'll see it, sometimes I'll do the form and my elbows will remain at the same position the entire time of the form. And it looks like my arms are moving in and out, but they're not. The illusion of my hands coming in and out is by my body moving, by the rotations of the shoulder and the hip, okay, and me stepping. So if I'm going to say I'll go to, go back, I'll do it with the elbows in the same position. It'll look like my elbows are moving, but if you really pay attention, I haven't changed the distance of my elbow at all, okay? It looks like it, but my elbow hasn't moved. The reason for this is because when you do these kind of punches, I'm not punching from my elbow, I'm punching from the rotation of my hip. And that allows me to get that alignment from the bone. So it's not, I don't need to hyperextend, I'm just creating a closed kinetic chain, a link circuit to the ground. And then I just throw my body into that, which is why I'm able to hit so hard and not, it doesn't look like I'm really moving. I'm just coordinating myself very, very well. All right, so this hollow fist method, I'm not moving my elbow, okay? As you get more advanced with this, you can start to add the elbow back because you know not to hyperextend, okay? So, okay? So I want to have that feeling of this first, where I'm just a wheel, okay? And then when I get this, then I add, I add my elbow as an additive, okay? So I think that's basically the main points, okay? Also, just as correction for the bodyweight exercise thing, when I say that your thumb should be at your nipples, this is a point of reference for the height of your arms, okay? General point of reference. Once you get the point of reference, you can spread your arms out. You do not have to be touching your body. Because depending on your body type, ectomorph, mesomorph, whatever, the distance, how your elbows lay under your shoulders will be different for every person. You want your elbows to be neutral, slightly under, maybe slightly out of the shoulder rest. You don't want to be crooked like this. No chicken wing. So the idea is to create a neutral line. If you start to feel that there's tension on the lateral side of the elbow, just open up your chest and make it a little wider. Okay? Any questions, comments, accusations, into the comments. Okay, hope this helps. See you guys next time. Peace.